Welcome everybody to episode 14. Today we're going to be discussing the next rivalry in international football. So obviously with 2021 coming, we have Ronaldo and Messi just tailoring on to the end of their careers. So we thought it'd be an interesting discussion to think of who's going to take the heir to the throne essentially. We have a couple of ideas that we're going to discuss, and then obviously in the comment section below on any social media you're watching this on, you can obviously add to the debate. But make sure you give reason as well. Today is going to be pretty simple. That's all we're going to be discussing. And then other than that, then we're good to go.
I think we'll start with just purely age, so we get a good grasp of where they all are. So Haaland is the youngest; he's 20. If we're comparing him to Ronaldo and Messi, obviously, Mbappe's 22, Messi's 33, and then Ronaldo turned 36 in February. So, I mean, player thoughts was on each of the players. I actually heard an interesting shout for Haaland where I can't remember who said it, but I think it might have been someone on BT said they remind him of Lewandowski when he was kind of coming up, that kind of similar type of striker. By the way, he is so underrated. He is an unbelievable player. The way he kind of plays, I was even saying to G, he's almost a bit like I think Drogba, kind of the way he plays. He's got a bit of everything about him, and he's ridiculous in front of the goal. And then Mbappe, I think we probably all agree, is very much kind of young Ronaldo. That's what I feel anyway. I don't know if anyone disagree on that.
For the two of them, they're both obviously they're both a joke, but they're both. I haven't watched enough of them to give because they're not on telly every week for us, so it's hard to give a very good comprehensive opinion on the way they actually play. For me anyway, I kind of only see their highlights and their best moments within games, but they do it so often at such a young age. It's hard to give an overall opinion of their game. But yeah, I think considering the age he's at, Mbappe is very similar to what Ronaldo would have been when he was younger, probably a little bit more complete at his age now, considering that he has a World Cup at his age. And he was a big influence within that World Cup. That was probably the first time I've watched him consistently for a few games when he was playing with France. And in there, at that age, to perform at that level is incredible. So obviously, he's off to a good start in his career. The debate is difficult because you look at Ronaldo when he was younger at United. Obviously, he reached a stage where he was just ridiculous. And I'm just thinking about that goal against Fulham, when he with the yellow and purple Premier League ball, which was lethal, by the way. Just then he was becoming the best in the world. He was unbelievable at that stage, but it took him a long time to get there. When you look at Mbappe now, you said he was 22, isn't it? Yeah, at 22, he's just ridiculous. The type of stuff he's doing. But I think that the main debate is people giving out about the league he's in, so that he's competing in League One over in France. Obviously, everyone calls it a Farmers League. I probably would disagree with that, but it's not the best league to be competing in. But the fact he does it, or has done it, has proven he's done it at international level, and also in the Champions League in big games like that recent one against Barca, things like that, you can almost argue that at a younger age, he's probably performing at a higher level than, well, probably more consistently than Ronaldo has. And I don't know if you would agree with that or not.
I'll pull up some stats now for a little bit of comparison. I think you made a good point there, just talking about the leagues they play in, and you could argue that the teams they both play in now are very free scoring teams compared to Juventus and Barca are massively in a kind of transition phase at the minute. But this year, and I just went league and Champions League with the stats, Mbappe's played 30 games, Haaland's played 25, Mbappe has 21 goals, Haaland has 27, Mbappe has 9 assists, Haaland has 7. So in 30 games, Mbappe has 30 goals and assists combined, and Haaland in 25 games has 34 goals and assists combined. And then it's ridiculous. And then just purely Champions League. So this is I'd say all time. Haaland's only played 2 seasons in the Champions League. Mbappe has 24 goals and 17 assists in 41 games in the Champions League. Haaland has 18 goals and 2 assists in 13 games. And he's actually, I can't remember exactly, but it took Ronaldo 8 games or 26 games to score his first Champions League goal. It took Haaland 8 games to score his first 10 goals in the Champions League. So that's a bit of a mad stat for you. So they are performing in Europe, which is the pinnacle of club football, and they're not doing it against farmer teams in them games. Mbappe hat-trick against Barca, and then Haaland the day after scores a brace. So it's like the stats they're putting up for their age. Haaland's in particular, like 13 games is 18 goals in.
He is absolutely ridiculous. He's ridiculous. He's physically unbelievable, like strength-wise, height-wise, pace. He has absolutely everything. And the fact he's a good goal scorer on top of that, I think if United signed him, I think I'd go partying for the next 3 months. He is going to, if he moves to England, he will be absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the two most prized attainable assets at the minute in professional football are Haaland and Jadon Sancho. Are definitely the two.
You say Jason. You say Jason.
That's the only input I've had in this podcast so far, except for the introduction. Jaden
Derulo.
But yeah,
they're definitely the two best players in terms of attainable. I think the contract that Mbappe is tied down to, I don't think you'll see a move for him within the next few years anyway. Haaland is by far the best number 9 I've seen at that age group since when the original Ronaldo broke through. If you think of all the top centre forwards like Miroslav Klose, even like a Lewandowski, Harry Kane, like all those.
Rooney.
Yeah, Wayne Rooney too, I suppose, came in at a young age. But like in terms of, I would say, Champions League impact and international recognition, I'd say Haaland has everything at his feet really in that regard. I suppose actually, Martin's a good point. Wayne Rooney probably in terms of ability-wise at that age group was hitting the heights that Haaland is. But I'm talking like your overall package in each competition, his marketability, his value to the club. Like he basically is Dortmund at the minute, along with Sancho. I'm not dissing here on Dortmund, but you know he is the main man. So like obviously Rooney was competing with Ronaldo and some other big signings there, but I think it's a huge testament to Haaland being in what wouldn't be considered one of the top 5 clubs in the world at the minute, per se. Maybe one of the best teams, but not one of the overall best clubs. And still being the best asset. I think Haaland and Mbappe are definitely the next grade. I can't see, the only people who I can see getting in and around them would be potentially Phil Foden, who's only had like, I would consider his breakthrough season this year in terms of regular games, and Sancho.
Yeah.
Anyone else you put in, Morgan? For the kind of...
Listen, in terms of actual output, so the quality that they're giving and the fact that they're competing in the top leagues in the world, and the fact that Mbappe has a challenge or a World Cup, and just is competing in the Champions League at the moment, and not just competing, he is performing week in, week out. I think the two of them are on their own wavelength at the moment. They're like outperforming everyone else. And just name-wise, you think of youth footballers, you think Mbappe, you think Haaland, who are just taking the world. Like the fact Haaland's 20 years old, that is absolutely ridiculous. The stats he's putting up, not even stats, but if you just watch him, he's unbelievable. I don't think there's anyone else. But like it's like Messi and Ronaldo here at the moment. It's like Haaland and Mbappe at the moment, obviously, and then below them, like Messi and Ronaldo, you have your Lewandowskis, you have your Neymars, you have all them type of players. I think below them, Phil Foden's a good shout. See, it's hard to give an opinion on like Jude Bellingham's a good shout as well in Dortmund. Obviously, being more of a defensive player, it's hard to predict. But they have a lot of good American players coming through as well. I think people rule out like players like Pulisic and all that. I know obviously he's probably not on the debate now, but he's another huge player. I think if you look at England, the debate at the moment is about the top England youngsters. They had no one for years in like really coming through, and then all of a sudden, I remember saying at the G 4 years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago, that England since Gary Neville haven't had a single right full produced for years. Like there was no one, and all of a sudden now you have Kyle Walker, Trent, Tariq Lamptey. You have Reece James, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Just out of nowhere, there's all these young players popping out of nowhere. So it's hard to predict. Yeah, but in England, I think Saka is unbelievable. I think he's very underrated. I know people talk about him a lot, but I think he's criminally underrated because he's playing in Arsenal. he is outperforming everyone in that Arsenal team, and he's outperforming Mason Greenwood by far because he's playing week in, week out and performing, compared to Mason, who dips in and out, looks very good when he plays, but it's a consistent run. I think to grade them in England with who's currently playing, I think you have to base it off who's playing the most and who's performing the most. Smith Rowe in there, we were talking about just before. Smith Rowe and Saka, just because they're in Arsenal, they're probably not getting the same recognition, but they're both unbelievable players performing week in, week out in probably a poor team in Arsenal, but they're still performing. And then you look at Mason, who's obviously in a very good team, but he's probably not playing as consistently. So it's hard to get him in the debate. I would argue, because I'm a big fan of Mason, but it's hard to get him in the debate with the likes of Foden, Saka, and Smith Rowe, them types of players, because he's just not playing enough. So, but time-wise, it's hard to judge. Like, it's hard to compare anyone to Haaland and Mbappe at the moment. But from England, that's Mason Mount's probably a good shout as well. But they're all like that age category. I want your opinion on England players. Like, where do you think they compare against the likes of Haaland and Mbappe?
I was gonna actually just say the three from England who I think of to probably put in agreement. I think we all agree that the two lads, Haaland and Mbappe, are the message. Like, they're just under that level at the minute, and they're probably level with your Lewandowski's, your Kane when he's on form, Aguero's, Neymar's. Even he's another one who's going to get sometimes forgotten about. But back to the English ones, I think Foden, Saka, and Mason Mount are the three I think are the strongest contenders at the minute. Like you said, Greenwood's got a ridiculous amount of talent, but has he played enough maybe to get the show? He's kind of like maybe the way Foden was the last 2 years. Saka, as you said, I'm a massive fan of him, and versatile. He is ridiculously versatile. He plays as a wing back, he plays a full back, and he can play on either wing, and his output is brilliant. Then you have the likes of I don't think he's quite even age as Grealish anymore. He's probably past like that younger.
Yeah, he's past that younger category, I'd say. Yeah.
Like
sorry to cut across you, Gary. But I think it is criminal that Jack Grealish and Mason Mount are even in the debate compared to Haaland and Mbappe. Like, I know the question was the English thing there, but I was just thinking to myself, like, it's chalk and cheese. Absolute chalk and cheese. Like, talk about the levels. Like, I remember Messi at 19, 20, Ronaldo I know Ronaldo was probably a little bit longer in terms of consistent performances, but hitting that peak and then went boom, straight away in that 2008 season when Man United won the Champions League, maybe even the year before that after the Euros. But sorry to cut across there, Gary, that time, but I was thinking, wow, like Mason Mount in the same conversation as Haaland. Haaland would eat Mason Mount for breakfast and spit him out for dinner.
They are levels. Actually,
there is levels.
Myself and Morgan actually mentioned this one yesterday, and I agreed with him about giving a bit of a GK show for all the GKs out there. And I've actually pulled up his stats here on
GK Union,
the AC goalkeeper who seems to have been around for
yeah.
He's been on the scene since he's out the womb.
G, guess what age he is? Because I think me and Morgan probably would have got it somewhat right. You tell me.
Okay. Well, what my brain thinks logically, because he's been on the scene for, what my brain says would be 26 because of how long he's been there. But I'd say he's only about 21.
Oh, 22. Just turned 22 in February.
And 22 years old.
And he's played 200 games for AC Milan.
Yeah, that's
crazy. That is absolutely ridiculous.
And 22 for Italy.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me about, like, football is such a diverse game, and it's very difficult. Obviously, we've had podcasts before in determining talent and things like that, but there's no debate if there is consistency and longevity. I think that is the absolute main thing. And if you have consistency and longevity at a young age, you're just a bucket of potential. You're not going to hit, like, physically, you're not going to hit your peak until you're 26. And more so mentally, in terms of your maturity, you're not going to hit your peak until 26. Like, I'm thinking now, I'm 25 at the minute, and like I'm an entirely different person to what I was last year mentally. So I can only think about what that's like on a professional football level in terms of experience, finding like your own brand, like as a player, like what you contribute to the team. Like, my God, if they're producing those stats and consistency figures, an influence on men in their dressing room now, what are they going to be like at 26? Like, potential is so exciting. But yeah, just back to Mbappe and Haaland, like, they have in my opinion, at the minute, looking at stats figures, looking at them play, just getting the feeling of, you're watching a top player here. I think they have the best chance for longevity in terms of career paths, and obviously the quality within that in regards to maintaining the highest level possible.
Very good.
Super.
We'll probably then compare them to the old guard. So the Messi, Ronaldo. So these stats are since 1920, and it's probably done that because that was Haaland's first year. So was that last season? Yeah, 1920. We're in 2021 now. So we'll go. So games wise, Ronaldo's played 66 in that time. Messi's played 68. Haaland's played 59, and Mbappe's played 58. So there's 10 games between the lowest, the least played, and the most played. Ronaldo 57 goals, Messi 50 goals, Haaland 64 goals, Mbappe 44 goals. Then assists, Ronaldo has 9, Messi has 29, Haaland has 7, and Mbappe is 19. And then, I suppose, crucially, Champions League goals, Ronaldo has 8 in that time, Messi has 7, Haaland has 18, and Mbappe has 10. So
what is he doing? Like, he's a robot.
Ridiculous, man.
Do you ever see Haaland, even just like on a psychological point of view? The man is a killer. Like, he's so
weird, old man.
I think he's so intimidating. Like,
I love him. I love him.
Yeah, but as a player, like, even physical stature and the way his facial expressions are, he's just a killer. He's honestly
he's a lunatic. He is a lunatic. Like, there's definitely, like, crazy. Like, even the way he celebrates goals and stuff, he's just away with the fairies. But that's what I love him. I love his. Yeah. He reminds me of Zlatan a little bit. The way he, like, carries himself. That's why he's very marketable. But on the other side of that, you almost don't want him to be, like, if I was sponsoring now, I'd be a little bit scared. He's just so erratic. Like, did you ever see his old interviews when he's at Leipzig?
No.
Watch it. If you haven't watched his interviews, I think it's a known thing on, like, all social medias, but if you haven't watched them, look up Haaland's interviews, and there's like a 2-minute video compilation. He is the weirdest human in the world. Like, he's so erratic. He just answers questions so bizarrely. Like, he doesn't want to be there at all. He's literally like a robot. Yeah. But watch him. But he's so funny. Like, he's got such a good personality. That's why he's very marketable, but also extremely erratic.
Yeah.
But I love him. I absolutely love him.
The sun is killing me here, so I've got to close my blind. So I'm doing a G on it.
Morgan, I meant to say to you, right, just in regards to those stats that came up there, do you think, like, if you look at an old Manchester United team, with, like, Ronaldo is my all-time favorite player, particularly when he was at Manchester United at that age, do you think, like, as you were saying, Gary, the free-flowing nature of the current Dortmund team and the PSG team in terms of goal scoring, do those vary the stats in that regard? Like, is a goal in Ronaldo's time worth 2 goals in modern time? I'm not sure. What do you think?
I know I think that every generation, that is the debate. It's like, oh, the defenders in this era were better, or the attacking football in this era was better. I think you just have to appreciate what they do. It's hard to compare. Like, if you go against, like, if you look at all of Dortmund's opponents at the moment, you can debate that some of the best young talent there is in Germany at the moment. So you could say that's what they're coming up against. Or if you look back at Ronaldo's old days when he's playing against Ryan Shawcross and the boys, you could debate that's a whole different era. Like, it's so difficult to compare. I don't think you compare overall. Like you were saying, I think longevity within a season or within a couple of seasons is the only way to compare it. Like, someone can have a 60-goal season and then next year not be great, and that, like, they're a great player for a year. Like, you look at Michu, for example, like, unbelievable for 1 year and then gone. Some players are like that, which is absolutely fine, but longevity is where you look at it. So it's hard to compare, like, one season with another.
Yeah,
it's difficult to go, like, Ronaldo at United for 3 years is better than Haaland for 10 years at Dortmund. It's very difficult to compare.
The end of the day, Goals are goals. Assists are assists.
Goals are goals. You don't know how difficult it is to score goals on a consistent basis. I can't do it in training with an empty net. It's so difficult to do that week in, week out, constantly perform, and also bring other things to the table as well, apart from just scoring goals.
Just on that longevity thing there, like, it's the same even with a company. Like, for Apple, for example, like, a good company is there for 20 years. Like, in my opinion, to be a top grade for, like, a world class player, as they say in that bracket, I think you have to be consistently playing in the top 3 brackets, like Messi and Ronaldo, for at least 10 years, at least, to be in and around a debate to be the best player. Like, obviously, like, you could say, like, remember Kaká when he had that unbelievable year at AC Milan, and then obviously he got his move to Madrid. Like, at that stage there, yeah, like, he was a world-class player, no doubt. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about who were the heirs to the throne of probably the 2 greatest players of all time, or definitely within the last half century, in terms of, like, or quarter century even, should I say, not half century. So, like, you have to be thinking of extraordinary performances, which is plus 10 years.
Yeah, on that, this is going to touch into your longevity. So, seeing this stat, Ronaldo, 763 career goals. So, for Haaland to catch him by the age of 35, he would have had to have scored 44 goals a year, every year, for the next 15 years, if he was to catch it. And then Mbappe, to reach it, would have to score 48 goals until he's 35, so in 13 years. So, if they anyway get near them figures, like, at this rate, Haaland would smash it with his stats are ridiculous. Like, the more you look at the amount of goals he scores, but yeah, that I think stats like that make people realize how what he got. Like, I'm sure you could do the same for Messi in terms of, like, Messi and Ronaldo. I presume, I don't even know off the top of my head. I presume they win like 50 goals of each other or whatever.
I think Messi's the only recorded footballer ever to have 1,000 goal contributions, so goals and assists.
What?
That, I'd say, Gary, out of all the stats you pull out of that little black notebook, that is by far the best one in terms of perspective.
It's disgusting. It's actually revolting how many goals they have scored.
You'd have to,
I remember
15
I remember when a good season, like a really good season for, like, an Henry or a Van Nistelrooy, was plus 20 goals. Like,
that is a good season. That is a good season. 20 goals, like 20 goals in 1 year. It's crazy amount of goals. 50, 60 a year. It's just ridiculous.
Imagine actually, so Messi and Ronaldo just retire tomorrow. Is Neymar even within a shout of the other 2 at the minute? Or are they the 2 best players in the world after the 2?
Ability, 100%. Longevity and consistency at the top levels, absolutely goddamn not. I think it's criminal. In my opinion, I think it's criminal.
He's unbelievable. I think people give out about him an awful lot, and so do I, because he's a bit of a rat, but he's an unbelievable player. Like, some of the things he does. Do you ever see the videos where he's messing around with someone, nutmegs them, he gets smashed, and then he goes, "Give me the ball again," and he just does a rainbow flick over their head. Like, he's a joke, man. He's a joke. The things he does are crazy. But yeah, again, he's not in the debate of Messi and Ronaldo. He was for a while when he was at Barca and he was performing. He definitely was in the debate, but then no, like, longevity.
But that's like the Kaká syndrome again. Like, that 1 year,
3 or 4 years, yeah.
100%. I know
Suarez is in a better shout than that.
Yeah,
when he was in there for a couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. The longevity of the whole thing, and, like, that's why, again, I don't mean to be harping on about Liverpool, but, like, one great year last year, and now it just goes to show you the importance of longevity. Like, in my opinion, yeah, on the dot, like, you need to be looking at who is performing at a world-class level. But if you're going to be bringing people into the debate of the best team ever or the best players ever, 1 year is not enough. Like, like, obviously there's potential there. That's like the only reason we're making opinions on Haaland and Mbappe is purely on potential. I haven't said that they're at that Messi Ronaldo level at all yet. What I'm saying is, out of all the players in the world, they are in that potential bracket.
They're getting very close.
Another 3 years.
Like, if they do that for another, I was going to say, if they do that for another 2 or 3 years, then they're there. They're very much there, and they're setting themselves up to be there. I think the amount of goal contributions the two of them have is at this age. Like Haaland is 20 years old. What he's got like 60 something goals or something you were saying the other day last year. So it's ridiculous. That is ridiculous numbers for a 20 or 19-year-old that would have been at the time. It's crazy. So they are definitely getting to there. Yeah.
We do forget that Mbappe was 19 at the World Cup when he ran him up.
It was ridiculous. Yes.
Yeah, as Morgan was saying there, that's the first time I sat down and watched Mbappe consistently. And to be honest with you, it's probably criminal that we don't watch enough international football on a consistent basis. But major tournaments are always a big coup because because they're so unique and the pressure that comes with it and the different environments. It really does show the true test of football players at that level. It's definitely, it's like a golden string to a bow. If you can perform consistently for your international team across X amount of major tournaments, I know a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on it, and even like Messi and Ronaldo in terms of winning titles or like Copa Americas or European Championships or World Cups with their countries. I think that's actually a reasonable debate. If you're going to be one of the best players in the world, there's no excuse why you can't do it. Regardless, you're playing five-a-side with your mates or you're in the World Cup final, you should be the best player on the pitch. So it is interesting. And Mbappe, I'd say he just gave me shivers watching the play in the World Cup. My God. I go out of my way to watch that. Yeah, super.
One last little thing, just talk about young players breaking through. If you compare like when Michael Owen broke on the scene, like Michael Owen was unbelievable. Would you say that he was world class?
At that time when
I think ability wise, absolutely. But longevity wise, I know he played at top clubs for a long time. But would you say, like, I was going to compare Michael Owen to when he broke through, probably a little bit younger than Rooney, or maybe they're thereabouts, I could be wrong. But for me, like the two of them, probably ability wise, like Michael Owen as a goal scorer, I'd say was better than Rooney in terms of what he could do. But as an overall player and longevity, I think Rooney doesn't even compare to Michael Owen. I think Rooney is miles ahead of it, but they both kind of broke through the same way. So it's interesting that like for all we know, Mbappe could go boom and take off, and Haaland could just stay kind of, and he could drift off and kind of back in and out. And you can kind of be stuck in that Neymar rut where you're like, oh, he's world class, and then he's not, and he's up and down. So you compare like Michael Owen breaking through, who was a joke, also broke in on what competition was it?
European Championship.
Was it the Euros or was it the World Cup?
The one
was it the World Cup?
It was the World Cup, yeah.
When it's Germany.
Yeah, so the World Cup.
He beat Germany 5-1. He scored a hat-trick. Is that correct?
I'm not too sure. I know the Argentina one, I think was the one where he like runs half the pitch. That was the best.
So, like that's when he broke on. Like, that type of stuff when you break in, you look at Mbappe now. So it's weird that he took off. He would have been like the business at the time, but I would not say Michael Owen over longevity of a career was world class, but he had moments where he was world class. While Rooney, for me, criminally underrated when he was younger, still unbelievable when he got to a certain age, and like stats speak for itself in terms of his career. But yeah, it's mad how one career could start so well and then kind of drift, and one could just go and just keep going, or someone could just pop out of nowhere at 25 and just be unbelievable then for a couple of years. Football's mad.
I just googled that there with Michael Owen. It was 5-1 and he did score a hat-trick, and it was the 2002 World Cup qualifiers. It wasn't major tournament. Yeah, it was a qualifier.
On that, I think like you said, people can have like Me Too, for example, had like, I don't want to say a world class season, but a spectacular season. So I think people are capable of like world class moments. This kind of stems back to, remember we did the confidence podcast, we were talking about like confidence is like up and down and like self-belief is like the bedrock. It's almost the same where you can have like world class moments. Like I could go out and play five-a-side and put out a world class like bit of trickery and then score. Doesn't mean I'm world class. Like world class, having a world class career is high performing consistently over a long time, which is obviously the definition of Messi and Ronaldo. And currently with Mbappe, he's been doing it for, we'll say, since he moved.
Probably 2 or 3 years. 4
years if you want to, because of Monaco, he was very good as well.
Monaco, he was still very good, yeah.
And Haaland's been 2 seasons at the minute. So, like you said, if they do this for till they're both 25, so Mbappe 3 years and Haaland 5 years, then like nearly not right off the end of their career, but you could argue that they were world class over a 7-year period, 5 to 7 year period, which you could then say is world class. Like Eric Cantona was world class for a short period of time. You know, that debate, isn't it?
Yeah.
You should definitely have on that. How many world class players played for and pick a random club?
That would be a great debate, a Premier League world class, because everyone would be like Van Dijk. They'd say Van Dijk's world class at the moment. Van Dijk isn't world class yet. He's world class currently, but if he does it, we said this in the Liverpool current 11 thing about Rio Ferdinand and Vidic and all them and John Terry getting better shouts because they did it for 6-7 years. When you look at Van Dijk and all the debate now, is he the best centre half in the Premier League of all time? No, because he hasn't done it consistently for years and years. Now he's a joke. Like if he does it for another 3 or 4 years when he's back, yes, he's world class. But yeah, again, consistency is the main thing in football.
I think, it's simple as it's like anything. If you have consistency, the numbers don't lie. It's very easy. I think the bet for Haaland and Mbappe is a lot safer if they're still pulling out these numbers and more. They need to be improving as well. It's not just being consistent. Like even Ronaldo went from scoring 30 a year, 35, 40, 45, and then he just hit these unbelievable peaks. But if they're hitting those numbers at 26, then it becomes a safe bet in regards to they're going to be definitely in and amongst that conversation when they hit 35.
Yeah.
It's a little scary that Haaland's getting 60 goals or more like contributions at 20 years old. And that's like one of Ronaldo's top seasons, if I'm not wrong, was like 60 or 70 plus like goal contributions and goals, I think, or something like that, which is like still ridiculous. But doing that at 20 years old in a top 3 league and doing it in the Champions League, that's terrifying. If he does that for another 5 years, like it's absolutely it's so unbelievable. Like it's hard to fathom that someone at that age can be so mature and so consistent. Like you would look at him, you would not think he's 20. Like G said, he's a weird looking guy, but like he doesn't look 20, or even the way he carries himself.
I say he's a weird looking guy. I said he's weird personality.
He's a strange looking guy, man. Come on.
We're all strange looking guys.
Listen, look at me. I'm an egg. Like you can slag me all you want. But for everyone, you need to go and watch his interviews. If you haven't done it, you need to go watch his interviews when he's at Leipzig and some of his Dortmund ones. They are just brilliant.
All right. On that note.
Yeah, G, do you want to wrap her up? Make sure you got 3.
Yeah, I'd say that was an interesting thing. I tell you, it really brought me back to, like, obviously with Training121, it isn't just like a football broadcasting station. It's very much developing yourself as a person and as a player in a sporting regard. But that just kind of brought you back to, like, if you really think you're made of something, why are you not doing it for 10 plus years? Why are you not being consistent? So it kind of brought me back to, geez, like, there is so much more that people can give. But even just on the podcast note, make sure you like and subscribe. Every single token of those sorts of contributions are really, really appreciated by all of us here. It really makes a huge difference. Be sure to follow us across all social medias, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere that you want to receive content. We always drift in between the different ones and then provide different content with all of different platforms. Make sure that if you think that another player is worth the debate, put in a thesis early in the comment section. We always interact, and hopefully we can pick and learn from your contributions as well. Other than that, then, have a great weekend, and we will see you all soon.
Come on, United! 3-1 Chelsea. 3-1 United.